Hello! It's 163 days until Christmas 2020. And yesterday, we had some news release from StarWars.com regarding the Bad Batch animated series. Disney Plus has ordered a season from Lucasfilm, and we look forward to seeing that sometime in 2021. Now, I'm a bit late to the conversation. I've been on vacation and just getting back to work and getting things going, getting back to the normal schedule, and missed coming up on a live stream yesterday. But I'm happy to be on today. Really excited because I've heard a lot of discussion about this from pretty much everybody, but I've not heard one of the things that seems extremely obvious to me. And I put it in the title and in the description here that this Bad Batch, as it's described, sounds very familiar to me, to a series some of us who are old enough to remember, the A-Team. And for those of you that are not familiar with the A-Team, I just want to give you a brief rundown about what the A-Team is all about. And so let me bring up, first of all, so there's the A-Team. And if you read so at the beginning of the A-Team, there's music that come on at the beginning of the show, and there was a description that was given, and there was a narration, I should say, and the narration at the beginning says, 10 years ago, a crack commando unit was sent to prison by military court for a crime they didn't commit. These men promptly escaped from a maximum security stockade to the Los Angeles underground. Today, still wanted by the government, they survive as soldiers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the A-Team. So that's the A-Team's opening narration. And when I read the Bad Batch summary on StarWars.com, follow this. So keeping in mind what we just read, and it's in the description of the video here, but keeping in mind that it says this series follows an elite and experimental clones first introduced in the Clone Wars as they find their way in a rapidly changing galaxy, right? And in the immediate aftermath of the Clone War, members of the Bad Batch, a unique squad of clones, right? So it's to me it reads very much the same. Who vary genetically from their brothers. Each possess a singular exceptional skill, which makes them extraordinarily effective soldiers and formidable crew. In the post-Clone War era, they'll take on daring mercenary missions as they struggle to stay afloat and find a new purpose. So, to me, the mercenaries, their military background, everything seems to mirror the A-Team. And if you watch the series back in the 80s, the late 80s, early 90s, you saw that these characters, when you watch the Bad Batch series, were very well shown there as well. So here you have Mr. T. Mr. T was the muscle of the group, and I pity the fool, right? If anybody messes with Mr. T, he would he strong arm him. And then you had the rest of the team. I won't go through all of them, but with the Bad Batch, you have very similar kind of roles. You've got a sniper, a tech guy, a muscle of the group, and a leader. And the A-Team had those same sort of characters. So I wanted to talk about that. So there's of course the Bad Batch, again the muscle. You've got the tech guy, the sharpshooter, and the leader. So let's see, what else did I bring? Oh, so that's the other thing I wanted to point out is, so they're talking about following these characters after the Clone War, and in the description, and a lot of discussion. There's been discussion about it's starting with Order 66. That's where the series will pretty much kick off, and then the aftermath of Order 66, which kind of concludes the Clone War. But at the end of the Clone War, then we have all of these clones, and in the the series, Rex at some point says we clones have mixed feelings about the Clone War, because without the war, we wouldn't exist, right? But they also, many of them, struggled with their identity. They struggled with the purpose of the war. What was the war about? And there follows throughout the Clone Wars animated series. You get to know these characters, and you get to see some of them struggle with some of the morality of it. And there's a few of them who kind of go off on their own. I'm going to leave those names. There's a couple of them. I've discussed them in some other videos. There's a couple of these guys who walked away from the war. They walked away from their units. And if you can remember their names, put it in the text. Somebody is a bit of a trivia here. We are in the Nerd Card Showdown on Adam's, or not Adam. I saw Adam here, fan gesture. Good to see you. Freeman Cooper. Hello, Freeman. Glad to see you here. Captain Pennsylvania, my friend. Good to see you, man. And R.C. Scott. Hello there. Hi, thanks for stopping in. So on the Den of Nerds, there's Nerd Card Showdown on Wednesday nights. Tomorrow night, our team will be competing against another team, and kind of studying up on some Star Wars trivia. So I throw it out there, trivia to you. Name one or more of the clones who walked away and lived a life outside of the their units. They walked away from the war prior to its end, because we know now that with this series, they're all going to be kind of finding their way. Certainly, some will join with their units, or their brothers, and they will become stormtroopers. But it's an enlistment process. Some, now that their service has ended, presumably will choose some of these directions that other clone troopers took, and they'll pursue lives outside. And what's going to happen in the years between? So we saw, and this is a popular one I put up here. Rex in the picture, the animated picture on the left, is from the Rebels animated series. So that's Captain Rex. In the right is a picture of one of the guys from the movie. So, R.C. Scott, you, my friend, are stirring up trouble. I'd be happy to discuss Thor Ragnarok. It's a terrible movie. So there you go, the end. Anyway, so we have Rex from the Rebels animated series, who has left. He did not become a stormtrooper, and he actually becomes one of the rebels. So, and we see him in I think that's Empire Strikes Back. That's or is it Return? It's Empire Strikes Back. You see him as part of that there. So, we have a long period of time where these clone troopers can find their way. Will they be rebels? Will they be mercenaries for hire? Right? Will they be go out on their own and follow some of their other brothers who have chosen lives completely outside of combat and have families now? And there's a good number of clones who we've gotten to know through the Clone Wars animated series. These characters are beloved by Star Wars fans. We've kind of gotten to know them as individuals instead of the faceless names. And you guys are provoking, right? You're provoking me. I see how you are. And this morning, I was on Second Street Marvel's stream, and Trinity and I agree that the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, not good. They're not good. They're two of my least favorite Marvel movies of all, and I don't appreciate the humor in it. I don't find a good deal of it humorous. The only parts that I like in it at all are Rocket and Groot. The end. The movies are terrible. Star Lord, terrible. He's not a hero. He's not super. He's an idiot, and I can't stand him. Not a fan of Guardians of the Galaxy in any way. And Thor Ragnarok, no. I'm also not a fan of Fat Thor, Fat Lazy Thor. Don't like him either. I prefer my heroes to be heroic, and Fat Thor and doesn't fulfill that. So that's so you guys you're just provoking me off topic, which is fine. It's fine. We're all friends here, right? Yeah. What about the soundtrack? Okay, RC Scott. The soundtrack for Guardians of the Galaxy is fantastic. If I didn't have to watch the movie and I could just listen to the music, then that movie, those movies jump up tremendously. The problem is there's a movie associated with them that I have to endure, and that movie's not worth watching. So those movies are trash. Don't care for them at all. And I heard Trinity this morning defending Infinity War when Star-Lord screwed up them getting the gauntlet off of Thanos, and he's got a point. But dude, contain yourself. Priorities. It's more important we get that glove off of him than deal with some sort of emotional baggage you're carrying around. Don't need it, and you screwed everything up, and all these people got snapped away because you couldn't contain yourself for one more minute. Get that glove off, and you can chop the dude's head off. No problem. Problem solved. Anyway, my goodness, you guys, you're killing me. Yeah, lump of coal is right. Yeah, if you misbehave for Christmas, I'll bring you Guardians of the Galaxy DVDs, and we know DVDs are going away. You're not even going to get a digital download with them. You just get the DVD. That's it. No digital download, right? And that's what you get in your stocking. You get a Guardians of the Galaxy. And if you're on the really naughty list, I'll throw in Ragnarok to go with it. There you go. That's funny. So, you guys, it is so good to be back with you guys. I was on yesterday a good bit. I've been on most of the day today. I wanted to discuss this topic about the yeah, right, Adam? Yeah, DVDs. No Blu-ray, no digital download. You get it just the DVD, right? At least now we're not giving away the VHSs anymore. They're too hard for the elves to make, so we don't mess with the VHSs. You get all of that waste, not worth it. So there you go. No, it's good to be back. I wanted to talk about this topic about the Bad Batch series, and then Adam today posted some other news regarding Star Wars, and it's with the and I don't know if I should talk about it too much today, or we'll save it for tomorrow. There's some discussion about Hayden Christensen signing on for the Obi-Wan series, and a lot of discussion about what would that look like. We know that the events of the Obi-Wan series are rumored to take place after the Clone War, the period of time between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, and presumably he'll be on Tatooine the bulk of that time, overwatching Luke as he grows up and goes through whatever. That's sort of the thought, and that he would have various run-ins. And there's been some discussion about bringing Maul in, but if you've watched Maul, then, or if you watched Rebels, you kind of know what's going to happen with Maul, and that timeline doesn't quite work out for him to show up in the live action. And it's a little problematic, in my view, to have Hayden in that series as well. They said that he signed on for a recurring role, somewhat major role, but if you have Hayden in there, What's he do? What is that about? He presumably would be Darth Vader. As Darth Vader, James Earl Jones did the voice, so you wouldn't have Hayden doing voiceovers. Um, I don't. We kind of speculated a little bit. Might it be flashback sequences? Might it be some force skyping going on? Some discussion between Obi-Wan and Anakin over space? Who knows? I'm also Captain Pennsylvania. I'm also thrilled to death that Hayden is coming back to Star Wars. I think that's fantastic. I think fans are ready to see Hayden back. They want to bring Hayden back, and some of the prequel hate has subdued. I'm still in the group of not fan of the prequels, but I've learned to tolerate them and appreciate them a little differently with the Clone Wars. And I'd be happy to see Hayden come back and get an act with in Star Wars again. It'd be great to have him back. Uh, you guys are just like the kid from Episode 1. You know, episode, he was okay. I thought the kid did an okay job, considering he's a kid. But Hayden, his acting was largely panned. I've seen Hayden in a couple other movies, and I wouldn't say he's a great actor by any means, but he didn't get any help from his director either. George Lucas certainly didn't give him any kind of direction that would make those performances more endearing. So anyway, that's good. He was done. Oh, that's great. So again, it's great to see you guys. What do you think? Have you come up with any names of the clones who have walked away and pursued lives outside? And there's one example, and I'll give it to you if you could think of him as well, who had a bit of amnesia, lived away from the clones for a while, and was discovered in those terrible, terrible droid episodes. If you've seen the Clone Wars, you know that George Lucas's favorite Clone Wars episodes were those droid episodes. So if you haven't seen them, be sure to watch them. They're you want to follow the creator. Those droid episodes. No, so I'm completely joking. Except that George Lucas does love those episodes. They're his favorite. He's quoted as saying that the droid episodes were his favorite, and but they're terrible. They're absolutely terrible episodes. Practically unwatchable. You watch them just because you want to. You're a completionist. I'm a completionist, and I have to force myself to watch things even though I hate them. These droid episodes fall into that category. So if you can remember the droid or the droid episodes where the clone trooper was discovered on that planet, and then he comes to save the day. He shows up again in the Rebels, and we find out that he survives. Can you remember that clone trooper? Can you remember his name? And there's another one that walked away, and he has a Twilight spouse and some children with her that are half clone children, clone trooper children, and half Twilight children. If you can remember his name, those are a couple of examples. If you can think of other names, that's my trivia contest for you guys today, to remember those names. What else do we have here? Star Wars needs to find a new big bad because James Earl Jones is not going to. Oh, yeah. But you know what? There are a lot of people that can do that voice very, very well. And so even though James Earl Jones is not going to be with us forever, and they want the Darth Vader stories told forever, at some point those are going to have to be done by different voice actors. Uh, oh, there you go, Captain Pennsylvania. You're available to do Vader voiceovers. We'll sign you up. Freeman, you got it. Gregor. Gregor is the clone trooper who had amnesia, was discovered washing dishes, right? He was washing dishes and was being treated very poorly, and they discovered who he was. His memory came back, and he kind of went out with a blaze of glory. But then, and you're presumed dead, but then he shows up again. Very good, Freeman. Good job. Try to be a completionist, but then there's first 2 seasons of Star Trek. Oh my goodness! I'll tell you what. There are some shows that that I've forced myself to watch, and there are some that a lot of people really, really enjoy, and I try to watch them just because I'm like, what am I missing? And I'll force myself to keep watching and keep watching long after I've been done with it. And there's a lot of the CW shows fall into that category. Like, I was a huge fan of Smallville, but there are a few seasons, a few episodes there that are don't stand up to the very beginning. And then, of course, some of the latest ones, Supergirl and Batwoman. Supergirl started off okay, but it's become very I'm not as big of a fan of Supergirl anymore, and Batwoman was started off very poorly. It got a lot of bad press and a lot of bad discussion, but then it kind of picked up okay. Really not a great show. And then Captain Pennsylvania, me too. I've got 5 seasons of them in box sets upstairs. Very good. Yeah. Smallville. I absolutely love Smallville, but for a long time. But then, Supernatural should have ended. I'm not a fan of the Doom Patrol, and I know a lot of people love Doom Patrol. I'm not a fan of the Harley Quinn animated series, and I forced myself to watch all of season 1 and the biggest portion of season 2 until I just canceled my DC Universe subscription and went over to HBO Max. Just not a fan of those, but again, because I'm completionist, I want to watch them all the way through and see the end. It's tough. I wish they would just end some of these series so I could quit watching. It's been great. I know we're about 20 minutes in. I'm going to go ahead and call it a day here. It's just great to be back. It's great to be talking Star Wars. It's great to have some Star Wars news to talk about. I want to thank Adam from Fanjecture for kind of alerting us, who's been breaking the news for us the last couple of days and giving us the stuff early. And so the one about Hayden came out this afternoon. That was really good. Thanks a lot, Adam. Appreciate it. You guys are the best. Captain Pennsylvania. Yeah, you haven't seen Harley Quinn? Well, the thing is, Kaylee Cuoco does the voice, so most people know her from Big Bang Theory. But there's another animated series that my daughter watched when she was growing up that Kaylee Cuoco did the voice of. Again, another bit of trivia. Do you know the animated series? She played a rabbit. Do you know the name of the rabbit? That's good. If you can remember the name of the rabbit, that she did in that animated series, but she does the voice of Harley Quinn. It's very adult humor. There's a lot of cursing. There's a lot of very vulgar content in graphic content. Harley Quinn as a character, I've always been a little ambivalent, but in that show, it's just not. And there's some big actors in there that you recognize, but that's good. Freeman, thanks for stopping by. Good to see you. I really appreciate it. Thanks for Thanks for being here. All right. Do you have no clue on Kaylee Cuoco in the animated series? I'm gonna have to. I'm series Kaylee Cuoco. She did it back in the 2000s. Was early 2000s. My daughter was young. And let's see if I can find it here. What was the series that she was in? Oh man, I'm drawing a blank because she. Let me just pull up Kaylee on IMDb. And it'll show up in her. Filmography. Known for, let's see, actress. No, not. Brandy and Mr. Whiskers. Brandy and Mr. Whiskers. That was the animated series from the 80s or early 2000s. So, yeah, she played. Oh, and it was a dog. So there we go. I had that part wrong too. Look at me. Got it wrong and got it wrong. She was the dog. There was a rabbit in there. So let me see if I've got this. If I can add this as another source so you guys can see it. Display capture. No. Okay. Let's see if I can get it. No. Add. Sorry about that. Window capture. Here we go. There we go. Yes. Okay. There you go. You guys can probably see that now. Brandy and Mr. Whiskers. I haven't seen that on Disney Plus lately, so I don't know if you guys have seen that. She was in Hop, yeah, and also, I saw she was in another one as well, but that's is a rabbit. But in this, she played a dog, and Brandy and Mr. Whiskers. They were lost on an island, and they lost their owners, and she was from a wealthy family and used to living very pampered, and the rabbit was a complete buffoon, and he kind of hitched his wagon to her and made her miserable, and it was actually not a terrible show to watch. It was just whatever. So yeah, Brandy and Mr. Whiskers. All right. Well, with that, I'll let you guys go. And again, thank you so much for being here. I look forward to continuing our discussion later this week. There are lots of topics in Star Wars that have kind of blown by that I want to get back to and discuss with you guys. And so hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. And you'll be on the Den of Nerds. You'll see the Nerd Card Showdown, followed tomorrow night by Fanjector's Debate 8. And we'll see how all that turns out. So thanks so much. If you haven't liked and subscribed to my channel, I sure would appreciate it if you'd share it with somebody. That'd be great. My members have started growing in that 100 range, and would love to see that grow so we can reach more people. Until then, you guys take care. Thanks for stopping by. Merry Christmas, everybody. Bye-bye. Thanks.